Is that gonna mirror anything? Is that gonna make it like unreadable?
Worst case.
Maybe a little bit further away. Are we able to mirror your image? Just because all the text is backwards now.
Check camera.
Yeah.
Mirror.
Oh yeah. There we go. All right. Hi, Jobin.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wait, overall.
But he's not live there.
No,
is he?
No, he's,
No.
we're just
He's on plane.
Hi, Jobin. All right. Get this out of the way. I'm all yours for 25 minutes of uninterrupted presentation time. And I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm looking forward to your presentation. Please.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Today we'll be presenting our midterm on USCO America. My name is Lily. I'm Natalie.
My name's Connor.
I'm Janelle.
I'm Christian Winder.
Here we just have our table of contents, which is kind of going over what we're going to talk about today. And then next we have our project overview. So to start, USCO America is a leading provider of touchscreen technologies. They offer a variety of products like touchscreen monitors, touch controllers, HMI solutions, and personalized solutions as well, with key features such as reliability, precision, durability, and quick turnaround times, which is a really important feature. We identified 5 key markets that we're going to dive into this presentation, but we have industrial automation, the healthcare industry, heavy equipment, lab testing, and EV charging. So to begin, we have our phased approach. It's a structured approach that we've been using. It begins with our analysis, where we use our management tools such as VRIO, SWOT. We did some market segmentation analysis, basically just to identify these key opportunities and also to build an understanding of the customer industries, challenges, and their buying factors, which we then have taken into our phase 2 of interviews, where we have designed a survey for our customers, and then also began prospecting our 300 to 500 potential interviewees. And then after we have established more of those, we're going to set up those interviews. And then with our findings, we're going to compile them to analyze those interviews with the findings to establish some strategic approaches for the USCO America, and then also to translate those insights into actionable strategies. And then lastly, we'll have our final deliverables with phase 4, where we will polish up those findings and then put it into our final presentation, report, our 5-year financial plan, and then development of recommendations and digital playbook.
So here's a quick look at what we've been working on so far in order to establish the foundation for USCO's strategic recommendations. In the first few weeks, we worked on the PESTLE analysis, and that's where we really looked at the external factors that are shaping USCO's current strategy. We found that in areas like trade policy, inflation, and new user trends, there is a moderate to high impact on the business itself. And we did find some key opportunities that are interesting to look into, specifically healthcare and AI. Moving on, we did our internal and external analyses. For internal, we completed the VRIO framework with resources and competencies. We identified that the key strengths for USCO currently, we have found to be engineering expertise and customization ability for different products. And some areas that we wanted to flag for improvement were the marketing visibility and global reach. As for the external analysis, we did a Porter's 5 forces analysis, and that was to look at the competing landscape. We evaluated industry competition, supplier and buyer power, and we were able to benchmark USCO against key competitors in the touchscreen systems. And now, currently, we are working on the analysis of USCO's market. That's where we're looking at the size, growth trends, and customer segments. We see some key identified some key opportunities for expansion in OEM sectors and the medical technology section. And we have started mapping out our strategic plan based on these findings. And we also wanted to note that we have been continuing our weekly meetings with Jobin every Friday. And we are just meeting to discuss the work that we have been completing through that week and discuss any potential future plans and get his input and recommendations moving forward. And next, we're going to the in-depth customer needs analysis.
So just through basic research online, we found that these are the top 5 factors that are the most important when it comes to purchasing factors. We have reliability and durability at number 1 across the board in all industries. This is ranked at number one because all the customers are expecting that 10-year lifespan and high quality. And then we also have system integration and customization following closely behind to reliability. And then finally, we have supplier partnership sustainability, which are definitely lagging behind the top 3 factors, but still rising in importance as we see time go on. Breaking it down by industry, for industrial automation, as I said before, reliability is going to be very important for it. Just an hour of downtime can cost upwards towards tens of thousands of dollars. So that's very costly for the companies. So they are really going to prioritize that durability, reliability, and 24/7 uptime, which aligns closely with USCO's durability and quality. And then with medical devices, they have to comply with the FDA and ISO compliances, also the sterilization capabilities and traceabilities, which also closely aligns with USCO's precision manufacturing. And then lastly, on the slide, we have laboratory equipment where we have the high calibration accuracy, and you need to be able to read that data. And also, they also prioritize the customability with the interfaces to be intuitive in order to enhance their workflow processes. And this is a great opportunity for USCO to position itself as a premium supplier for that. And then moving on to heavy equipment and EV charging infrastructures. These are both industries that were mentioned to us in the first meeting by Jobin and Morishita-san, that they're struggling a little bit more instead of like the prior industries. They both are common in needing to be like the outdoors durability with dust, vibration, sunlight readability, that anti-glare coatings. And also with EV charging infrastructure, we found that there's like vandalism. It needs to be able to like resist that vandalism and durability with that. And they're both opportunities for USCO to lead as premier outdoor display suppliers.
And now I'm going to go a little bit into the market of each of these industries within USCO itself, starting off with industrial automation. Now they're the main revenue driver for USCO, and they're the kind of core business segment that they're using. This customer base is mainly long-term OEM partners in different areas like factory automation, machine integration, and robotics. Now, these OEMs in particular, what they are really looking for when it comes to their product is that it's reliable, uptime, and has a seamless integration when it comes to PLC and SCADA systems. Now, USCO's position is very strong in this industry, as we have stated earlier. They are seen as a very dependable, offer high-quality products kind of supplier, and they're offering very rugged and lifelong displays. Moving on to medical devices is the second largest vertical for USCO. Their customer base is mainly device OEMs requiring certified, traceable components, regulated environments. It is very important in this sector that the products they're giving them are very reliable, and they have zero failure tolerance. So the things that USCO makes for the medical sector does need to be very reliable. And USCO has a strong position when it comes to this specific market, as they are compliance ready, traceability focused, and partner with strong reliability. Now, as for the heavy equipment and EV charging infrastructure, as Janelle said earlier, these are segments that aren't as necessarily involved with USCO, but we definitely see some potential growth areas here. So for heavy equipment, they're mainly aiming at OEMs in construction, agriculture, and industrial equipment. And they are working in very rugged outdoor environments. So it is very important to them that their needs are met with being durability, glove usability, sunlight visibility, and vibration resistance. USCO does have a unique position when it comes to this specific market, as their products are field tested, which differs from a lot of the competitors in this market. And moving on to finally the EV charging and infrastructure market. This is an emerging market, it's freshly new. So USCO doesn't have very strong of a position in it currently, but we definitely see a lot of potential area for growth when it comes to investing into this market, as they have a lot of similar values when it comes to sustainability and clean energy trends. This is mainly targeting EV charging network operators and equipment OEMs. And what is important to them is that they have that uptime reliability, the weather resistance, and the easy to use interface. Now, because this is a very early but growing market, USCO could invest selectively into flagship EV projects, especially high value ones that will give them those kind of long-term contracts and give them a unique position in a fast emerging market.
Now, even though USCO manufactures primarily in Japan and Indonesia, something heavily affecting them and the many industries overall are tariffs and trade uncertainty. This impacts a lot of manufacturers, which then indirectly impacts USCO as well. It has also brought a trend of more nearshoring and domestic manufacturing to lower supply costs. And also, this means that companies who can have quick turnaround times and fast delivery will have added value to them. We also wanted to note that per capita disposable income is rising, which is one of the reasons why a lot of USCO's key markets are still showing growth despite all of these increased costs with tariffs in manufacturing. And then next we have a few industry trends that we identified. To start off, I wanted to talk a little bit about some post-COVID trends that have shaped the market so that we're in now. It has brought a lot of more self-service like kiosks and automation in general, which of course brings more clients in a bigger market for USCO. There's also shifting customer expectations. They're expecting better user interfaces, kind of like mobile friendly, and also more durability. And then also we're seeing a lot of growth in the key markets that USCO is a part of, such as lab testing and medical devices. There is a lot of research showing increasing revenue, and 5-year projections are showing that as well.
Now, our internal strengths. Now, we have expertise in touchscreens and embedded PC technology, and also have Japanese engineering quality, which allows us to which is a rare and valuable and gives us a competitive advantage in that market. And we also have a global presence and a strong relationship and multiple. Well, we don't. USCO has multiple strengths, but our main key points are our Japanese engineering quality and our expertise in touchscreens.
Now moving into the more competitive landscape of USCO America. So across these 5 industries that USCO America is currently involved in is medical device, lab and testing, industrial automation, heavy equipment, EV charging. On this slide here, you can only see a very small pinpoint of a lot of the competitors that USCO currently has. The main players being Siemens, Rockwell, Schneider Electric, ABB Limited, Emerson Electric Co., and Honeywell, which, as you can see, these are the main competitors in industrial automation, but they also play a key factor across all the other industries. On this slide, you can see the core competencies of a lot of these other competitors, as well as why that they are succeeding in these current markets, and that USCO can relate back to and see which ways that they can essentially try to take part of that market share. So looking at their competitors with a revenue over $10 million a year globally, these are going to be the players that are a lot harder to take revenue share from. So if you're looking at Siemens, Aventech, and Honeywell right here, you can see their global revenue is almost $40 billion, which is a lot further away than where USCO is right now. So when you're looking at total global scale and economies of scale and what these global companies are able to do based on their sheer size alone, it's going to be a lot harder for USCO America to, 1, step into the market, 2, take market share, and 3, be able to find core competencies that are really different from theirs. So even though this is an area that USCO can take market share in, it's going to be a lot more important for core competencies and to actually establish more of a market share when looking at some of their competitors with a lower revenue, which I'll cover right here. So some of these customers are Dynagraphics, UICO, ZenArc, Maple Systems, Vartech Systems, and Fadetech North America. Well, all of these companies have in common is their global revenue and sheer size. So when you look at these smaller businesses, a lot of them do have higher focus in customization, but also a higher focus in these niche markets, which is where USCO itself is able to stand apart, where they have their toes dipped in a bunch of different industries. So there's not a whole lot of overlap, and also they're able to capitalize on the rapid response and the innovation that USCO has shown. So these are the companies that USCO should really be competing for, and as well as analyzing the core competencies of these smaller companies to see where they can fit in and where they can obtain more market share. Moving on to external market research. So as we noted earlier, we touched on the 300 to 500 potential customers. So this process is looking sort of like so at first we developed the market research scripts. This is going to be different, not only from the industry, but also what employee we're talking to. Because if we're talking to a product manager in the medical device field, it's going to be vastly different than talking to an engineer in the heavy equipment space. Because product managers, they might be focused on lead times, turnover, and customization, where engineers are more focused on the ruggedness, the durability, as well as some of the AI and tech implementations. From there, we moved over to the potential customer prospecting, which we use a multitude of tools such as Google, LinkedIn, Apollo IO, and Microsoft Excel to 1, find companies, 2, find employees, 3, find their contact information, and 4, be able to record all this information that we can use towards this further market research and finding the value proposition of USCO. Now we're moving on to SWOT analysis, where Natalie will take it.
So I'm going to cover the internal analysis part of SWOT, starting off with the strengths. First, they have strong engineering expertise, so they have a very deep technical understanding of touchscreen and embedded PC systems, and they have proven time after time that they are able to deliver a long life cycle integration-ready solution. The next strength that we identified was their compliance leadership. So they have Japanese engineering quality while also having strict regulatory standards, which gives them a unique position within the market. And they have demonstrated reliability in mission critical medical applications, which gives them a very good position when it comes to the medical market. Next strength we said was the rugged reliability. So their displays are engineered to survive very harsh environments, which is very important when it comes to the heavy machinery market, with things like sunlight visibility, vibration, glove usability, and so forth. And they have a very unique position against competitors, especially low-cost competitors, because of their field testing durability. The next key strength we wanted to highlight on was that they have 30 million plus machines in operation worldwide, which is really reinforcing their brand trust and scale. And they have that recognition for having quality and reliability across automation and medical technology markets in particular. And lastly, we have customization and agility. So their engineering team enables a rapid adoption to new designs and user interfaces, which helps them change to customer needs or market needs very easily, which gives them a very strong advantage against competitors, the fact that they're able to easily adapt to what is being asked. And moving on to the weaknesses we were able to identify. First, we said that there was limited brand visibility. So while, yes, USCO does have a very good reputation when it comes to their current clients, the recognition lags behind of the larger global player. And the engineering strength is still not fully translated into their brand awareness or market differentiation. Next, we have their underutilized OEM integration. So while they do have strong technical potential, the internal alignment could use some improvement. And the coordination between engineering and sales also needs a lot of improvement. The next weakness we wanted to highlight on was that there is low marketing investment. So compared to its main competitors, they don't have as much invested into their marketing and digital platform. So that is going to have a very negative impact when it comes to reaching new potential employees. And their reliability and innovation story is undercommunicated and could be communicated a lot stronger. And we have supply chain vulnerability because they depend on a limited number of suppliers. This has a negative effect on their lead time and delivery consistency. And this is especially an issue when it comes to demand surges or any kind of disruptions. And lastly, we have competitive parity and talent. So the engineering team is very skilled, but it is not unique enough to create a lasting impression against potential clients. And the recruiting and retention and specialized technical areas still remains a challenge for USCO. And now I'm going to go back to Connor to talk about opportunities and threats.
As far as opportunities, we were able to identify the compound annual growth rate of the HMI and touchscreen industry as a whole as obviously one of the biggest opportunities, not only because there's more market share to be had, but also the growth can also extend into USCO. So looking at the compound annual growth rate again, you can see that it ranges anywhere from 7.5% to around 13%, which is very high, especially in these growing industries where USCO is able to not only partake in all of these market segments, but also they should be able to match these growth trends with where they are positioning themselves with their core competencies and with their new products. Moving on to more opportunities that they have, the digital transformation with the Industry 4.0, overall industry growth, customization, and quick turnaround times are the core competencies that USCO America should be taking advantage of. So looking at the digital transformation, there's been a very high surge in predictive and data-driven recommendations with AI and IoT. So being able to use this data-driven insights and use the AI inside their products, it's going to allow them to separate themselves from not only newcomers in the market, but also be able to keep up to par with some of the larger competitors. This kind of really ties in with Industry 4.0 as we are in the fourth industrial revolution, looking at technology growth, AI growth, everything there. USCO needs to be implementing this into their touchscreen and HMI, especially for the smart factories and industrial automation. Looking at industry growth, I kind of just touched on this in this last slide, but with the compound annual growth rate, as well as the sheer market growth that is being covered, USCO should be taking advantage of this, as well as a way to not only increase their market share, but also increase their global revenue inside North America. Next is going to be customization and quick turnaround time. USCO has a very unique niche proposition of their customization abilities, which is what's going to set them apart from these larger competitors. These larger competitors do have their hands on a lot of different large contracts, but USCO has a very unique proposition where they can deliver a touchscreen or HMI to very specific specs that any either smart factory or anything across any of the industries might need. This coupled in with their quick turnaround time due to the large supply that they have of standard parts, as well as their strategic manufacturing is very important for us to moving forward. Looking at some of the threats, supply chain, cybersecurity, market competition, and durability are going to be the big four that we're focusing on right here. So as far as supply chain goes, we did touch upon this as a weakness, but it's also a threat because of the dependency of their global supply chain. Like we mentioned earlier, their factories are based in Japan and Indonesia. So any kind of global supply chain disruption could disrupt any kind of market presence that they have in the United States. Looking at cybersecurity, we were able to pull a statistic that almost 22% of industrial control systems experience some kind of malicious attack or malware in just quarter one of 2025. This is going to be of big importance because if like we touched on earlier with Janelle, any kind of downtime can cost these companies tens of thousands of dollars, as well as severe brand reputation, which ultimately falls back on USCO America. Looking at market competition, I did touch on how the compound annual growth rate is growing, the overall HMI and touchscreen is growing, but with that comes all of the competition. There's newcomers that are making these higher rated touchscreens for cheaper than USCO, which is definitely going to be a threat moving forward. So USCO really needs to rely on their other core competencies in order to stay ahead. Looking at durability, finally, this kind of goes hand in hand with their market competition, but their durability compliance isn't as high of a grade as some of their other competitors, which is going to make it a lot harder to not only enter a market, but take market share from their competitors.
Now, about the obstacles we have encountered, one of the obstacles we have encountered was getting the market research. They're locked behind an expensive paywall, which we don't have the resources to get it because it was over $70,000 to acquire these research. And realistically, we can't get that. And also another obstacle we have encountered was the project scope alignment. Now we needed to figure a way to be able to get the client's expectation while also being able to do what we're realistically able to do. So we had to find middle grounds for things we can do. And lastly, one of the other obstacles we faced was customers prospecting difficulties. Now without a defined list of potential clients, we took the initiative to research and identify people independently, and which require additional time for us to find these people and get their information. Now, our next steps, we're going to be going into phase 2, which is to develop surveys for customer interviews, and we'll be prospecting around 300 to 500 potential customer interviewees. And we're going to try to conduct 30 to 50 of those 300 to 500 interviewees. And once we do, we will analyze and summarize the results. And going into phase 3, we'll be compiling the findings where we'll develop the roadmap and digital playbook and give recommendations for USCO's continuing organization development and develop a 5-year financial business plan. Lastly, on our phase 4 presentation, we'll be going to the presentation of our finished deliverables. We'll go into the final client reports and the final client presentation. And lastly, we'll be having a final meeting with our client.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for listening to us today, and we would love to answer any potential questions you have.
Okay, good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please sit down, get comfortable.
Okay.
It's nice.
Should we stop the recording?
Yeah.
Hi, Jobin.
Hi, Jobin. Thank you.
It's my
No, I stopped.
Close. First of all, a stupid question.